Hey, hey. Tobago updates. Na, 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 na. Good morning, Tobago. Na, 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 na. Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome back. Thank you for staying with us here at the Tobago Updates. And this is the GMT show. I am your host, Adanna Combie, and we're going to do the news again in 90 seconds for you. Residents near the Blackrock River are disgruntled by a private development that has resulted in a shift of the river course. Residents expressed their frustration with the damage done prior to their property, business, and their livestock. Residents are concerned as the area is a turtle breeding habitat and turtle eggs have been seen floating in the river. Assemblyman Niall George described the situation as unfortunate and assured that a temporary solution will be in place at the end of the turtle nesting season, and he has the approval of the Chief Secretary. Tobagonian Kyla Keith Wilson is among students from 10 countries who completed her studies in Canada after receiving a scholarship from the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee. Mrs. Keith Wilson's program consisted of 3-level competition, introduction and development, long-term athlete development, performance planning, physical preparation, mindfulness, Olympic programs, and nutrition. Upon completion of the program, she graduated with a classical training certification from the National Coaching Certification Program of the Coaching Association of Canada. Congratulations to her. The Office of the Chief Secretary introduces their summer employment program. Eligible candidates include full-time university students and the 6B students. Applicants must be 18 years and over and reside in Tobago. Persons who are recipients of national scholarships would not be considered. Fields of interest include law, accounting, IT, economics, urban planning, geography, land management, communications, English, media, journalism, health and safety, HR, and business administration. The registration link can be accessed on the OCS website, and applications close on 8th June 2023. And that was your news in 90 seconds. We have a really good show for you today, and we are going to head into it. And we want to continue congratulating Kyla. If you know Kyla Keith at all, you will know that she has a love for sports and she's really dedicated. So we want to say a big shout out to Kyla and congratulations. Our show this morning today is a beautiful show. We are going to head straight into it as we welcome our first guest. We're talking today about today is actually the International Day of the fight against illegal fishing. And so we're going to talk about that. I was not even aware that such a thing existed. So I'm happy today that our guest is in studio and he's going to tell us a little bit about this and what it means in our Tobago space and in the region of the Caribbean. Our guest this morning is here and we are happy to have him, Mr. Curtis Douglas. Welcome, welcome. He's the president of All Tobago Fisherfolk Association, and he's going to tell us some more about what this means, what it entails, and how it affects our Tobago space. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning to you, and good morning to the listeners and followers of, this great station. As we at the start by saying, share the life. So it's a pleasure to be here this morning.
You see, I like it when our guests they follow the show, they follow the program, and they know the protocol. So of course, share the live, share the live, share the live as we continue. So let's get straight into it.
Yes, well, today is the day against fight against illegal fishing, and that came about over the years. People observing people going to different territorial waters and overfishing and damaging the fishing ground and stuff like that. So it let's come to educate people about more so Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, where we stand against illegal fishing. Now, our stand, which is the All Tobago Fisher Folk and also the fishing industry in Tobago, against illegal fishing. So it is illegal to go into anyone's waters and fish without authority. So I'm not saying that you cannot go into people's waters and fish, but you must have that permission from that state or the government of that country. So over the last 10 years, we see the increase in illegal fishing in Tobago waters. We would have seen illegal fishing from the Venezuelan into our waters. We would have seen illegal fishing from the Bajans in our waters, and we would have also seen some big trawlers fishing in our territorial waters from Indonesia and all of these places, right?
So what I want to ask, or what I think is very striking, is that when we have, you said you can't fish in a territory without the permission or the authorization, which we understand. But what does this mean for like our economy or commerce? Because I know if you're fishing, isn't it like stealing? Isn't it like encroaching on somebody else's territory? What does it mean in the Tobago instance? Or what does it mean for our economy and our commerce and the provision of food, the food supply that come from fishing? What does that mean for us?
Adanna, that means a lot to us because, we are living in a changing world. And when I was a little boy, I started with my great aunts and them, which would have better known as bar pools. They, Mr. Wright, they had scenes. And I used to see like from KFC to here, and the bun cannot reach the sun. Yeah? But what happened? We don't see that anymore because one, we didn't collect any data, and two, when you say anything about it, they say it never happened. All right. So what that means to us is that illegal fishing would cause hardship upon us because now the fishermen or the fisher folks in Tobago, with their yield will be less because they are now competing with bigger boats, bigger ships in their territorial waters. Right. So one, fishing contribute to employment on the island of Tobago, at least about 20% of the job market as fisher folk, right? So when you have fisher folk from other territorial waters coming into our countries and fishing illegally, it brings hardship upon us. And one, it is depleting our fish stock because some of their practices that they carry out is not in line with the world practice of fishing and how to ascertain fish. So you find they're using some method that is not conducive. For example, I will say some of the nets that they use are too small. So it kills even the babies. And sometimes when they do that, they overfish, and sometimes when they overfish, they destroy the ground and dump it back. So I just want to read something for you here. Because we have a little bit of problem right now or challenges with Barbados and the Venezuelans, right? So basically, authority to the Barbados fishermen to operate in the territorial waters of Trinidad and Tobago. Currently, no foreign fishing vessel, including vessel flagged to Barbados, is authorized to fish in the waters under the jurisdiction of Trinidad and Tobago TTO waters, territorial waters. Any fishing vessel engaged in fishing or fishing-related activities in the territorial waters is doing so illegally, right? So I just want to drive home the point that, when you come into someone's space, you need to seek first permission. And this have a downstream, you're supposed to check with immigration, you're supposed to let the police know if anything like that. But none of that has been done. We're not even having the Coast Guard to police the whole challenge of illegal fishing in the territorial waters of Tobago. No. So it's very difficult. But as I said, what it does, it creates hardship because I want you to understand The fishing economy in Tobago is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yes, and you're quite right, because before this interview, I was reading up on some information I got online in relation to what illegal fishing does. And it says, right, according to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing activities are responsible for the loss of 11 to 26 million tons
Yes.
of fish each year in the United States, which is a value of 10 to 23 billion dollars.
US dollars.
US dollars.
Yes.
So of course that affects our economy, and that's why I asked earlier, how does it affect our economy? And you said fishing provides at least 20% of employment,
course.
and that's a very large amount, a very large percentage. So
Yes.
it's concerning, especially as you mentioned that we don't have the support to regulate our waters, to man our waters. What is in place? What are we going to do? This is a challenge that I find to be very concerning and very alarming. So what are the recommendations? What are the suggestions? What are we going to do to put things in place to ensure that our waters are guarded, that we don't have poaching, and that we don't lose employment, our economy doesn't plummet, and that our food supply remains sufficient for the people in Tobago and for export purposes, or whatever source of income comes from our fishing industry?
Let me explain to you how and what we're going to put in place. We already start, which is the All Tobago Fisher Folk, to have a correspondent to the Prime Minister. We did that on the 12th. And this information that I have here was a correspondent from the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, from the Ministry of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries. That is where I read the illegal behavior of foreign boats in our waters. This is the information that they send us. So we are asking that we now be able to have a more data collecting revenue, so we could know how much revenue, how much fish the Bajans are coming. And we must put a stop or come to some kind of agreement with the Venezuelans in the illegal fishings as well. But more so, when you damage the flying fish industry, you damage the heart of the whole fishing industry. So when you damage the flying fish industry, you cannot get tuna, you cannot get kingfish, you cannot get dolphin, you cannot get all the things. So these are things that we need to address immediately, because not too long from now in October, the flying fish season will open again, and then we will have the illegal fishing boats. Foreign vessels are coming into our waters and extracting our minerals. Now we are saying we are not going to stop them, but you must follow the rules. Some rules must be enforced. Hence, like when they catch the Trinidadians, the Tobagonians in Barbados, they give them 12 years. We must be able to enforce and protect our waters, our territorial waters.
And I totally agree, because it's unfair that we have the mineral resource here, as you said, and somebody else is benefiting from it. So what about our economy? What about our people? What about our food supply? And you mentioned something earlier as well. You spoke about them using improper practices.
Correct.
Using the wrong size nets.
Yes.
And killing the small fishes, which means that reproduction also is going to slow. We wouldn't get the reproduction, because if the baby fish die, then how will they grow to reproduce? So we have a really serious concern on our hands. And I really wish the authorities will really regulate this and put what they need to put in place to ensure that our marine waters are protected,
yes,
that we reap the benefits from it. I'm so happy that you came here today and that you're even educating me on things that I myself took for granted. You might have been aware, you're hearing the news,
yes,
illegal fishing, but I really didn't consider the severity of the outcomes for us here in Tobago. And you're right, when you said in Barbados they gave them 12 years. We need to do something. We need to implement some stricter measures to ensure that our waters are protected.
Correct, because by the end of the day, it's supposed to operate. The fisheries Tobago is supposed to really check with these Bajan boats when they come to any port, immigration, to ensure, because as it stands, why you think we are seeing so much guns and stuff? We have illegal activities taking place in our waters. We need to protect our waters, and we also need to protect and safeguard our fish stocks, because we know the fish stocks have been depleted. The last time a fish stock assessment was done in Trinidad and Tobago, more so Tobago, is 2008, right? And since then, we have seen a decline in the fish stock. We have seen a massive decline in the fish stock, from overfishing and using the wrong aggregates to ensure that they have a yield. One Bajan boat One Bajan boat, when they leave Tobago waters, is going home with over $150,000 from one catch. Where is the data for that? Where is that? And that is recorded in Barbados as Barbados fine fish. But sometimes when you speak, people believe that you probably have something against them, but I have a duty, and I was cast with here to also protect the fishing industry and to safeguard so my grandchildren and your grandchildren could be able to participate in our fish. Look, the same tuna they're getting in the tin, where you feel it's been caught, right? But they're selling it back to us for $40 a tin. But Tobagonian people must be cognizant for what is taking place and also do something about it. We must stand in defense for what belongs to us. We are not saying we are selfish. We know where carry come, but they must be aware. In the next 5 years, there will be no fish. There will be no, like how I make no apologies.
Mr. Douglas,
there is no fish in Barbados.
I appreciate your passion, and I totally agree with you, and I support you 100%. We here at GMT, we want to thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your knowledge with us and bringing the awareness to Tobago. And I wish we could do something together to stand for what is rightfully ours so that we can preserve what is ours, so that we can preserve food for our children, as you said, for our grandchildren, that we can continue to boost our economy and ensure that our fishing practices are up to standard. Thank you very much. We are going to go to a break, but before we go, of course, we're going to invite you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be back.
Thank you.
I say, thanks a favor to wake up and